Hello, my friends and gems. How are you doing, Kim? Great to see you here on this Zoom call. All righty.
Hey there.
How have you been?
Good.
Good, good. Well, good to see you. So we're going to get started and talk about stem cell activation patches and what this can do for you. Do you have any questions out the gate you'd like to start off with?
I don't.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead, jump in, dive in deep and get started. Here we go. So we're talking about cell activation patches. They're stem cell activation patches. And I like to talk about often the Fantastic Five, which are, we have 11 different patches that take care of the systems of the body. But today we're going to talk about the 5 that take care of the primary systems of the body, because some of the other patches, for example, if you don't have an issue with sleep, then you don't need our Silent Nights patch, because that's for helping people who have insomnia. So before we get started, I want to give us our disclaimer, keep our relationship with the FDA all nice and tidy and well, because we do have a good partnership with them. We're going to be talking about the mother stem cell activation patch, but the patches are not intended to treat, prevent, or cure any disease, because we do not heal, cure, treat, or diagnose, nor do we offer protocols. So the suggestions do not replace the diagnosis and treatment by a qualified licensed healthcare professional. We strongly recommend you consult with your doctor concerning your specific health challenge and treatment needed. All righty. And it's good to note that in 1973, this technology is possible because in 1973, Dr. Lauren Picard discovered that GHKCU copper peptide activated a third of your previously dormant stem cells, turning genes to a younger, healthier state. And so that makes us ask the question, what are stem cells? Because not everybody knows what stem cells are. We have 56 trillion cells in the human body, 56 trillion. However, when we are conceived, when your mother's ovum unites with your father's sperm at conception, you have 23,688 genes and stem cells that are what begin to form you and turn you into an embryo in your mother's body. You continue to grow into a fetus, and so forth. And each one of those stem cells, they're the master smart cells that have all of the information to build you head to toe, front to back, top to bottom, left to right. And the beautiful thing about this is that as you continue to grow and you continue to have this cellular regeneration that's taking place, every one of your stem cells have all the programming that's required for your heart cells, your stomach cells, your fat cells, your red blood cells, your bone cells, your epithelial cells, which are your skin cells, your nerve cells, and so forth. So again, it's your smart AI, if you will, at a cellular level, and they're called smart cells, which happen to be pluripotent. And pluripotent just means, pluri comes from the word plural, potent, potential. So it's saying plural potentials or many potentials. Very exciting. Good to see you on here, Carol. And so just as a little recap, yes, at conception, your mother's ovum unites with your father's sperm, and you have that complete information to the tune of almost 24,000 genes and stem cells that begin this really quick proliferation and multiplication of cells. And fast forward the timeline to 30 years of age, and now 50% of your stem cells turn off. I'm sure a lot of people, when they first hear that, are surprised that just a 30-year-old, you think about it, when you're 25 years old, you're barely getting used to having a grown-up adult body. And now at age 30, you went from 100% of your stem cells, and by the time you reach 30, 50% of them, boom. They don't disappear, they're not damaged, they're not destroyed, they simply go dormant. And it's a function of age. Fast forward another 1, 2, or 3 decades, 30, 40, 50, 60, you go 50, 60, 70, 80 to 90% turn off by the time you're 60 years old. And so you only have 10% of your stem cells left by the time you reach 60. That will take you to the finish line to, well, whatever that is that you have your last breath. Does that make sense? So we're going to think of our body. I like to have people equate their body and think of it, it's just like your house. Your house is, we're all, in a home, that's where we reside. And our body is a temporary housing unit for the energy, the personality that is you. And inside your body, you have these stem cells, which are like printer ink cartridges, believe it or not. Every time you make a copy, and when you have 100% of the ink in your ink cartridges, the copies are indistinguishable from the original. And the same thing is true with your stem cells. When you have 100% of your stem cells, the copies are indistinguishable from the original. But when you've used up 70, 80, 90% your ink, guess what? That copy is a faded version of the original. And the same thing is true with your stem cells. And so how do the stem cells work? More importantly, how does this FDA compliant class 1 medical device, how does this little thing work? Well, that's a great question. And if you touch your face, go ahead, touch your face now, touch your neck, touch your arm, feel that it's warm. And that is evidence of the infrared light that you have inside your body. We are all light beings, not just from a spiritual or metaphysical perspective, as the ancients and the mystics for 5,000, 7,000 years and more have all known that we were light beings. Science is the contemporary language of mysticism. So science is only 300 years old. And, we got background noise. Turn that off just so that we don't hear the background noise. But the bottom line is that science is the contemporary language of mysticism, and science has only been around for 300 years. And in that time, of course, we have scanners, we have machines, we have devices that we can scan the body and we can measure the electricity, the energy inside your body. And so, in fact, if you look at this as a spectrograph, but I actually have a BioWell machine where I can put your hand inside of it and measure your finger, each one of your fingers, and it'll tell me how many joules of energy every organ in the body and organ system of the body is. And if the joules of energy are too high or too low, either extreme, it's just like being underweight or overweight. Either of those are not good. You want to be in the sweet spot, in the range of normalcy, so to speak. So the reason why you are infrared light is because every cell of the 56 trillion cells that you have in your body, every molecule has electrons in it. We all learned this in 3rd grade. Inside your bloodstream, you have electrolytes. So electrons and electrolytes are packets of electricity. That electricity has nutrients and it has information. And so that's what composes our body. We are literally light beings. And so when you take one of these stem cell activation patches and apply it on your skin, then this patch is behaving, it's just a mechanical device to redirect back the infrared light in your body. Because if you look at let's take a look at the crystal aspect of the patches. Because each one of these patches, if you look at this, now hold it up closely to the camera. Even if you were to have it in person and you look at it really close, you can't see the individual crystals. You literally have to have it under a microscope. And so if you were to look at a diamond crystal and I were to have a flashlight and I were to shine light on that diamond crystal, you would see that all the colors of the spectrum reflect back to my eyes, and I witness all the sparkling color just as you guys are right now. Well, the same thing is true with this FDA registered class 1 medical device. This is composed of organic sugar crystals, organic salt crystals, organic hydrogen, oxygen, and water crystals, an organic proprietary blend of organic amino acids. And those crystals are all arranged in a specific geometrical lattice work, and they're all programmed to a specific frequency, so that the moment that you put this patch on your body, in the case of the mother cell activation patch, it activates GHK-SU copper peptide in your body and the P63 protein, which begins this rapid, immediate cellular repair and regeneration, as well as restoration. All righty, moving on to the next slide. And it's good to note that while phototherapy, these patches are using your infrared light, so that is called photobiomodulation. It's a type of phototherapy. Photo means light, bio or biological beings. Modulation simply means movement and change. And while phototherapy, as you're aware, has been defined as the use of ultraviolet light for its healing effects, these patches have been specifically developed to reflect light in the infrared and visible light bands back onto the skin where the patch has been placed. So notice, supported by normal electrodermal skin inductance, the human body gives off a number of biochemical materials, including particulate release, gas emission, ultraviolet, infrared, and near infrared, as well as visible spectrum light. This then stimulates that area of the skin, producing an improved physiological effect. And variations on phototherapy have been used for at least 100 years. In that time, there's been little evidence of any negative side effects. We've known that for thousands of years. In fact, the Egyptians, the Incas, the Mayas, the Taoists, the Shaolin monks have used phototherapy, have used photobiomodulation. But it's just in the last 100 years. The first documented case of photobiomodulation was in 1895. I want you to sit still with that for a second, because we're in 2024 as of this broadcast here today. 1895, okay, it's not in the 2000s, it's not in the 1900s, this is the late 1800s. That was the first documented case of photobiomodulation. In fact, when I first started working in the ER and in the medical profession, worked for a private ambulance company, worked also in the ER, in the pediatric intensive care unit, as well as actually more specific neonatal intensive care unit, we use these things called bilirubin lights. So that was photobiomodulation. That was like 30 years ago. And we would put babies that were born prematurely. Most of them were born premature. Sometimes there were full-term babies that were born with immature livers, and that caused them to get jaundice, which is yellowing of the skin, yellowing of the eyes. That's because they can't regulate their bilirubin and their livers are immature. So what did we do? We put them under the bilirubin lights. That was photobiomodulation. Prior to us having bilirubin lights, they would use still photobiomodulation. I'm told in the old days that they would take in the NICU and the PICU, they would take newborn babies, they would cover their eyes, and then they would put them against windows on the east-facing wall of the hospital. They would open up the windows after sunrise in the morning, and then they would allow the sunlight to touch their skin, and they would actually turn them over, just like in the bilirubin lights, we turn them over every 30 minutes until noon. They get that morning sunlight and get that regulation, and it helps improve and expedite the maturity of the liver because of the UVA, UV light spectrum that they're getting in the early morning sun, which increases their vitamin A and their vitamin D production, and it starts to help regulate those things. Really quite fascinating. Now, if you look at 1903, Niels Ryberg Finsen, he won the first Nobel Prize for his research using red light to treat tuberculosis of the skin. And in his experiments with mice, he found that exposing them to red light reduced both their symptoms and their mortality rate from lupus vulgaris. So he increased their survivability and their longevity by using wearable light technology at that time. That was the turn of the century, 1895. Pretty amazing if you think about it. I want you to notice that these are non-transdermal. That means that nothing transfers into the skin. They're non-invasive. Nothing is absorbed by the skin, even though these are organic crystals. Sugar, salt, hydrogen, oxygen, and water, and a proprietary blend of organic amino acids. Still, your skin doesn't absorb these crystals when they're applied. They're simply a mechanical structure that behave like a mirror, just like a diamond crystal. It'll reflect back your infrared light back into your body. So yes, it's your body that's doing the cellular repair. Your body is doing the regeneration, the restoration. These are organic, holistic, FDA Class 1 medical devices, and they're used, as you're aware, under the general wellness category. These products are manufactured in FDA registered facilities in the United States, and in Ireland, we're registered with the Irish Medicine Board. We manufacture our products to the same standards as a medical device. And in fact, our facility in Ireland is ISO 9001 and ISO 13485 compliant. Those are quality standards for medical devices. All right, moving on. Super important. So any martial artist, any Olympic athlete, any peak performance athlete, marathon runners, boxers, weightlifters, you name it. People in the health and wellness industry, as well as the reverse aging industry, we all know that it's super vitally important to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. Why? Because our body is primarily made up of water. When you come out of your mother's juicy womb in that amniotic sac that you were swimming in for 9 months, you come out and you're kind of juicy. You're about 82% water, mostly water. Fast forward to the average American is about 65% water. The average 60-year-old is 55% water. Yet, your DNA, it's 92% water. So think about that. 82% for a baby, 65% for the average adult. But your DNA is still 92% water. So I have a theory that the reason why we feel so much more thirsty as we get older is because your DNA still has to be 92% water. Even if you're not 82%, you've gone down to 80, 70, 60, 55% or so water, let alone, anything less, you feel more thirsty. And at 2% dehydration, you'll feel thirst in your mouth. At 8%, wait till I show you what happens at 8% dehydration. So the thing to note, by the way, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but a lot of things in the human body shrink when you're dehydrated. First thing is your brain is very hydrophilic. Your brain is about 75% or more water, and it loves water. And when you become 2% dehydrated, guess what? Your brain shrinks. Many people, that's the primary cause of headaches and of migraines. It's showing that there's a disbalance, not enough water in the body. The other thing is super important to know that when you are dehydrated, your proteins in your body, they fold. And that interrupts something called the Krebs cycle inside of your body. You don't need to remember the Krebs cycle, but it's important to have that visual perspective of thinking about a protein folding in half. Because I don't know about you, proteins, first of all, are the building blocks of the body. And so when you fold a protein, think about yourself. If I were folded in half, first of all, if I were doing this broadcast folded in half, you wouldn't even see me on screen because my head would be down at my knees. Now, I would not be able to feed myself. I would not be able to work. I would not be able to go to the bathroom. I would not be able to bathe myself. I would not be able to do pretty much anything folded in half. It would be pretty damaging. I would be pretty much non-functional. The same thing is true for your proteins. When they're folded in half, they stop working. That's why it's so important to keep hydrated. So let me show you what happens to your DNA when you become dehydrated, especially when you hit 8%. Super bad news for you, my friends and gems. This is someone who is properly hydrated, and you can see that DNA strand. It's got the proper helix structure. It's got a beautiful formation. Everything is good. This person has 8% dehydration. Your DNA unravels. It starts to fall apart. You can clearly see that it's collapsing and starting to unravel. The myelin sheaths that are at the end of the DNA strand, the DNA strands, you have telomeres that look like this. They look like little legs. And you have a myelin sheath, which is kind of like a little boot made out of a fat material that protects the telomeres. As that disintegrates, then what happens is that the telomere lengths start breaking off, and the DNA strand starts to collapse. That's the beginning of not only diseases and symptoms in the body, but it's the decline of your health. Organ systems start to fail, and you start having presenting problems, different types of conditions, and so forth. 10% dehydration. This is very alarming. At 10%, you lose your mind. Your brain cannot work because, again, your brain is very hydrophilic. It cannot move everything it needs to move in order for you to think and process things. 12% dehydration, game over. Too bad, so sad. You should have drunk more water. Die. You cannot survive 12% dehydration. It's super important that you keep yourself well hydrated from the time you get up in the morning until you go to sleep. That's right. First thing in the morning before you get out of bed, take a swig of your water. And I always tell people, measure out your water so that you make sure you're drinking your 50%. I have to drink 2 of these a day for my allotment of water. All right, next slide. Oh, by the way, these patches, you don't wear them 24 hours a day, the same patch every day for 30 days. No. What you do, in fact, when you get started on the patches is that you're going to take these patches, you're going to apply them on from the morning, let's say from 9 in the morning till 9 p.m. at night. You might start your day early like the monks. I've got friends that get up at 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock, they're out and about. And so maybe for you, it's from 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. Doesn't matter. But when you start your day, you got to be consistent every day. So you might want to start at, let's say, 9 a.m. as an example. So then you have your little alarm that says apply patches, 9 a.m. You're brushing your teeth, you're going to the bathroom, you're showering, bathing, doing whatever your routine is in the morning. And then you apply the patches, and you'll have an alarm that says 12 hours later, remove patches. Remove your patches, you discard them, and you're going to match the 12 hours that you signaled your body. Think about 83% more stem cells on in your body than prior. Now you have to allow that rest and digest system of the body, because during your waking hours, you have your sympathetic nervous system. Your brain is in beta, and right now it's in high beta because you're learning something. High brain beta wave state. And then from sunset to sunrise, you now have your rest and digest parasympathetic system, equally as important. It works in concert, in synergy with your sympathetic nervous system, just as you have the daytime that works with the nighttime. A car, you can't drive your car at 150 miles an hour from the get-go and never come down from 150 miles an hour. No, you got to downshift, because otherwise your engine gets too hot and it blows up. Same thing is true with our body. We got to honor the 12 hours of sympathetic and 12 hours of parasympathetic, that rest and digest, will allow for rest, repair, and restore. Okay? And this is just a sample here on the right. You can see how you can attach the patches so that the adhesive overlaps one over the other. You can link them together and then apply them on your neck, the front, wherever it is. If you have a pain point, point to the pain and patch it. Or in some instances, we have the patches separate and we have them in different parts of the body, depending on what it is that you have presenting that you need to resolve as well as dissolve. Okay. Oh, by the way, good thing to note is also, most of you, I bet you didn't know that your fibroblasts, they begin to decline at 25 years of age in their production of collagen. Collagen is the number 1 building block of protein for the body. So again, think about how at 25 years of age, you're such a young person, yet already the fibroblasts are beginning to decline at 25. It's no wonder that at 30 years of age, 50% of those stem cells turn off for no other reason than you're aging. That's it. So this is the first person I want to share with you. This gal came to us with scoliosis. She had pretty severe curvature of the spine. You can evidently see here, the left shoulder is higher than the right. She's kind of slanted to the left. She has a pronounced curvature to the waist here, not so much on the left. Her scapulas, her shoulder blades are pronounced, they're sticking out. And she had a significant amount of pain, which is what motivated her to get started on the patches. And just 4 weeks later, she wore not only the 39, but also we have a patch called IceWave, which ices out pain, literally turns off your pain receptors while providing a therapeutic effect for your body. You can see that her scapulas, see how much flatter they are? They're closer to normal. Her spine is much straighter. Her shoulders are now balanced, and now you see a nice hourglass figure on both sides. She's been, as opposed to here, you can see the difference from left to right. So that's just 4 weeks of use. The next person, we don't deal with medical conditions. So we make no medical, actually, I should rephrase that. We don't make medical claims because these are general wellness products. So these were not made for a particular condition, a disease, or a syndrome, or a diagnosis. But we do help you evaporate, eliminate, basically solve and resolve whatever symptoms you're presenting, because since these are general wellness products, they balance the body and they do cellular repair at a cellular level, and it starts to repair the organ systems of the body because they're all systemic in nature. So this gentleman obviously was presenting with a condition where his melatonin specifically, was not evenly distributed through his third kidney, which is his skin. And so he has the absence of melanin, which is here on his face. You can see he's an older gentleman. However, over the course of the year, you can see how the melanin was restored and rebalanced in his body, and you can see how he was rejuvenated. And after a year, he looks much healthier and much happier, and he now has an even skin tone. Next person, Kathy. This is a friend of mine that lives in Nevada. She happens to be a professional skydiver, and 33 years, she was plagued with all sorts of terrible pains and symptoms from 3 breast implants that she suffered for 33 years until we started her on the patch January of 2022, just 2 years ago. And she was 62 years of age at the time, and she would not take pictures of her face at the time. There's a story about that. We'll tell you about that later. And she did take a picture of her neck and her chest, and you could see the dramatic, significant improvement in the reduction of not just fine lines and wrinkles, but even the texture of her skin, the quality of her skin, much better in March. Wrinkles are definitely diminishing. By June, no wrinkles, and just a little hint of some of the lines. By July, fine lines, wrinkles, all gone. Skin texture pretty much significantly improved. And this is a profile picture which she did finally agree to give to us after I did a video interview with her. And I told her, listen, I saw your Facebook posting, I'm sharing it right away. However, I really want to not only have your profile picture, but I want you to come on and share, just like this Zoom call that we're doing here. I'll be able to share it on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, etc. And people will actually be able to see your face and see that you match your pictures. And she agreed to that. You'll have to go to my YouTube channel, Love and Money Secrets TV. For those of you who are on the live Zoom, you'll see this graphic, and you'll see that her in the video, just like I can't alter my hair color or anything like that, and change the texture of my skin while we're doing this broadcast, right? Same thing is true for that. So long story short, after she saw that, luckily she was willing to give me a profile picture, so I'm able to show that to you now. Anyhow, moving on, we're gonna share my story, which was you're talking and seeing someone who had brain damage. I literally had brain damage as a result of being hit by a bus just 3 blocks shy of finishing a 16-mile bike ride on June 17th, 2017. Not only did I suffer, first of all, the point of impact was the back of my head, my lower left, right, as well as my lower back. I went flying over my bicycle. I literally saw my feet coming close to the curb, and I thought in my head in a split second, oh my gosh, my feet are gonna get crushed. It was a horrific experience. I never wished that on my worst enemy, quite literally. But because the point of impact when I got hit by a bus was on the lower back of my head, I immediately suffered brain trauma, brain damage, had a traumatic brain injury, and a lower back injury. It also, I injured 2 discs in my neck. Surprising, it wasn't more than 2, but it was 2 discs in my neck, and then 2 in my lower back. And then I had a laceration my ankle to my knee. I lost all my short-term memory, and the first 2 years I had no short-term memory, and it was just I was in the state where all I was doing was managing my pain because it was bad 24/7. People have asked me how bad was your pain? Well, 0 to 10, 0 being no pain, 10 being like unbearable. I would say it was pretty constantly an 8, 9, sometimes 10. And so it was like walking on eggshells, trying not to go from what pain that seemed to be unbearable already, for it to go nuclear. And I could best describe it as it feeling like having an ice pick that had, you know, how you have screws that you screw in and it's got the winding on it. It felt like an ice pick going into my neck that was being turned, kind of like going through a meat grinder, simultaneously my neck and my back equally at the same time. So I developed a whole host of neurological symptoms, everything from blurry vision to really loud tinnitus and things that you probably have never heard of, like nystagmus. I won't go through all of these because it's too much. But the bottom line is that your body gets out of whack when your CPU, which is your brain, is offline. That's what happens when you get brain damage, when you get any type of concussion, any kind of traumatic brain injury. And so things get out of whack. I had horrible insomnia. Bottom line is that I got some of that repaired before getting on the patches, but my big jump really was once I got on the patches, I got all of my short-term memory back better than it had ever been. Like when I first realized it, it was between the 3rd and 4th week. I was on a Zoom just like this. And as I was talking, someone asked me about pain management and about memory. And I immediately was able to quote about the ice wave patches that we talked about very briefly at the beginning. These turn off your pain receptors. And I had just read a paper that morning because we have 90 clinical studies. So I was making my way reading through all 90 clinical studies. And I remembered verbatim, first of all, the key words. Because when I read the paper, I thought, man, these are some great key words. Talked about organic, nanotechnology, photobiomodulation, and acupuncture points. I'm like, those are very good descriptors for what this does. But nobody uses organic nanotechnology using photobiomodulation and acupuncture. They just talk about phototherapy or photobiomodulation patches. And that was kind of it. So I said, I got to use these as I talk to people. And so I go, I figured I was going to have to, like everything else, I would have to memorize it and learn it, right? And then when I read the abstract, it said that the LifeWave ice wave pain management patches produced a significant effect in all of the subjects who wore the patches 12 hours on, 12 hours off, using organic nanotechnology applying photobiomodulation on traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture point. And when I read the paper first, I thought to myself, I got to commit this to memory. I got to learn it so I can remember and recite it. Set it aside, hadn't highlighted it yet. And in a Zoom just like this, I saw it in my head and I was able to, without any effort, it came out. And I knew instantly, I'm like, oh, my memory is as good as it was when I was pre-med at USC. And then I had a memory, long-term memory, of November, my kindergarten year, when I had eye surgery. And I spent 1 week in the hospital. My eyes were patched because of that surgery. That was the first time I had general anesthetics. And then came the realization. I became aware that that was my first traumatic brain injury. So I never had the benefit of having all of my long and short-term memory through my entire academic career from kindergarten till present. Because what you may not be aware of, which is something that we discovered when we did the film Quiet Explosions Healing the Brain, a film documentary that I did on traumatic brain injuries, which you can see on Netflix or on Prime. But what we discovered was that when you undergo general anesthetics, there's 4 things that an anesthesiologist does. Number 1, amnesia. They wipe out your memory. Number 2, hypnosis. Number 3, analgesia. They turn off pain receptors. Number 4, they do paralysis. They paralyze your body so that you don't flinch or move while the surgeon is doing their very precise work. And they do that, obviously, with chemicals, with drugs. It puts you basically in a intentional coma so that you have the best odds of recovering when you come out. but you do suffer a traumatic brain injury because as they lower your vitals, your blood pressure, your pulse, and the oxygen levels, because you're breathing slower, that deprives oxygen to the brain, and that's where the brain injury occurs. And for each hour that you're on anesthetics, the more severe the brain injury. So that was my realization. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder my brain is performing better than it ever has in my entire academic life, my entire life. It's because it got reset to before that first time that I had general anesthetics. Total game changer. I won't bore you with all these details. If you want to watch on YouTube, you can look up my testimonial there, either on my channel. Wellness Superheroes has a great broadcast where soup to nuts, I tell about the entire experience. Plus, I also do talk about the patches. So here's one of our patients, Gail Henry. We got started, we put her on the patches, and you can see she has a very significant curvature of the spine. So again, your stem cells are designed to repair any cellular damage, anything that is not right, it's going to correct it. You can see she has a fold of flesh on the left here. You can see the oxidative stress and basically expressing themselves as holes, freckles, age spots. You can see some cholesterol spots also on her back. This is less than 2 months later. Not only did her pain disappear, but her spine straightened out significantly to where the fold in her back is gone. So the fact that she was out of pain and now experiencing just better posture, and her skin condition is also, it was also on her face, but we want to emphasize here her back because that was the big dramatic improvement that we saw with her. Okay, so the bullet points for those of you, normally I would say if you want to get the information on the Fantastic Five, just come back at 7 and we'll go over all 5. Today I'm only going to go over 39, which is one of the Fantastic Five. All 5 take care of the primary systems of the body. This beautiful patch, this life-saving technology, it resets a third of your genes to a younger, healthier state. 33%. That's 4,192 genes, boom, that are now on. This regenerates cells, replacing damaged ones. Restores collagen, your #1 building block protein. Rebuilds scar tissue, reduces fine lines and wrinkles, increases energy, increases sexual libido, antioxidants, anti-aging, anti-inflammation. You will experience pain relief. You see in our subjects, both in the clinical studies, and we see this all the time. Every person, whether it's been in the United States, I should say North America or Europe, that has either a headache or a full-blown migraine, I take Mother Activation Patch, this 39, and then I take Ice Wave, which is a 2-patch system. It runs on a negative and a positive charge, so it's a pull and push. It's moving energy in the body, which is what turns off the pain receptors. I put this on your neck bump. If you take your dominant hand and just touch the back of your neck, and at the base of your neck, you're going to feel a bump, which is the top of your spine. That's where your brainstem branches out into your spinal column, signaling your spinal cord, and it connects to your autonomic nervous system, signaling everything. And then I take Ice Wave patches. I'll put the tan on left, the white on right. 30 seconds to 3 to 4 minutes. They have a 50 to 100% reduction in headache or migraine, or pain in this case. It also works great for sinus. People who have sinus infections or have a lot of congestion in their head, put an Ice Wave patch on either side of their nose right here, and the Mother patch on their neck bump, and they clear up. The Fantastic Five, you put all 5 on your chest, and I've had people who are about to be put on a respirator in the hospital, and within minutes, their chest cleared up, and then they were let go later that day because their breathing was no longer compromised. Really exciting. So improved hair growth. I myself experienced significant improved hair growth. By the 4th month, I went from a bald spot. My point of impact was my lower left, and it was the size of my palm. So that whole back bottom side, for 5 years, I had nothing on there. Not a hair follicle. It was shiny. And 4 months after wearing the patches, I had 70% hair growth, and I had about 3 to 4 inches of hair. And I first noticed that one day I was like curling my hair, and all of a sudden I had this like little short hair that was like this long. I'm like, what the heck? Because my hair was even longer than is now. And I'm like, why would I have hair that short? And then I went to touch back there and I realized, wait a minute, that's no longer bald. So I tried to look in the mirror, but it was when I went to my hairdresser, and it happened to be that same week. And I asked him, and he noticed immediately. He's like, whoa, you no longer have a bald spot here anymore. And I said, well, how much is it, like 50% or 30%? He said, no. He goes, it's like about 75% hair has grown back, and you have about 3 to 4 inches of hair growth. And it took about a year later, at the 14-month mark, it had all grown out, and the rest is history. Very exciting. So it's great for people who have been diagnosed. I had been diagnosed with alopecia areata. There's a couple forms of alopecia, but both of them result in hair, like either bald spots or baldness. And so alopecia areata means like an area. It's like a specific area. So mine was areata because it was just that one spot. I also had it above my left ear, but that one had grown back. The one that was still remaining was that back one. Okay. We do also have a recommendation or advice, what I like to call a Veritas Consilium. It's just a plan of action recommending where to put the patches. Applied on traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture points, again, to magnify the effects of the patches on the body. The patches are systemic in nature. They work anywhere on the body, on the top of your head, literally. You have a bliss point, acupuncture point. It's governing vessel up here. I think it's governing vessel 18 at the very top. You also you can wear them on the bottom of your feet. Depending on what it is that you have presenting, what symptoms that you're trying to take care of, we recommend then that you apply the patches appropriately. And once you get started, we'll just do a patch placement call with you to get those things addressed. I'm noticing that there's 3 people who put a little chat here, so I'm going to see what they said. Fantastic. Great to see you, Kim, April, Carol, and I know Paul was on here as well. All righty. Moving on, reminder to drink 50% your weight in fluid ounces of water. Okay, so this patch increases your glutathione levels. Glutathione. Glutathione is something that your brain manufactures. It actually doesn't manufacture it. Your brain signals your liver to manufacture it. And your liver sends it through your bloodstream to every single cell of the body. Every muscle has glutathione. Every organ has glutathione. You are as well as you have good glutathione levels, you will be healthy. People who have neurological symptoms usually have low or no glutathione. If you have an eye issue, oftentimes you have a low glutathione level. Glutathione also helps with your sensory perception. So, for example, people who have either like they feel like they have 1,000 needles in their hands, a neuropathy or neuralgia, whether it's numbness or a lot of pain in their hands and their feet. That's because they don't have proper levels of glutathione when they're tested. So this particular patch, the mother will increase your glutathione levels by 30%. Glutathione is the master antioxidant that's responsible for detoxifying your body as well as boosting your immune system. Very significant. So here it basically tells you in this research paper that these patches worn over 12 hours daily for a period of just 4 weeks produced a highly significant improvement in physiologic functional status. Listen up on these organs if you have anything going on related to any of these organs. Pancreas, liver, gallbladder, intestines, your left and right adrenals, your hypothalamus, pituitary gland, melatonin, pituitary gland, actually, the pineal gland is melatonin. Pituitary gland has to do with other hormones and things. And a very significant improvement in pancreas, statistical power of at least 72%. So stated differently, all organs achieved significant cellular, physiologic, functional status improvement compared to a baseline of 91%. That is very, very significant. All right, if you want to read that paper, at the end of this, I will tell you what a web link that you can go to. It's like our online filing cabinet. It's just all education, nothing for you to buy. It's just where you can get yourself educated. You can actually read the whole study if you'd like. Okay. Reminder to drink your water, 50% of your weight. So that means a 150-pound person, if you divide that by 2, that's 75 ounces of water every day that you're going to drink from the time you get up till you go to sleep. 75 ounces is basically 5, there's sparklers, Aquafina, Pana, pick your label of type of water. I'm not telling you that you have to buy bottled, those bottled waters, but a lot of people use that as a measurement. 5 of those from the time you get up till you go to sleep. You want to drink till you're satisfied, not full. If you always drink, as a general rule of thumb, if you always drink water till you're satisfied, then it'll signal a pleasantness to the body. If you drink till you're stuffed or full or can't anymore, then that doesn't feel good, and that will be off-putting to you. So the key thing is just drink until you're satisfied, till you're no longer thirsty. Okay? So your mitochondria, did you know that the very tool that you're using to tune into this broadcast, whether it's your laptop, desktop, notebook, iPad, cell phone, whatever device you're using, this causes blue light toxicity. Blue light toxicity destroys your DHEA, fountain of youth hormone. That is terrible. That just using these devices destroy your DHEA, causes insulin resistance, and it increases inflammation in the body. Nobody wants to increase inflammation in the body because that causes all sorts of other problems. The reason why you have inflammation in the body is that signaling to your stem cells something is wrong in this part of the body, something needs to be repaired. So that inflammation, which is like fire inside the body, quite literally, if we do a scan of you, we actually see the inflammation light up in red, as opposed to green, yellow, orange, and blue parts of the scan. I'll see if I can pull some of those scans to show you in the future. The bottom line is that, yeah, blue light toxicity. However, if you're wearing one of these patches, if you're wearing this patch or you're wearing our fantastic light, you're protected from that because you have a Faraday cage that's protecting you against radiation poisoning, against blue light toxicity, and other things. The other thing to note is that your LED lights, yeah, so even if you don't use your computer, cell phone, etc., you still have LED lights permeating and causing destruction of DHEA, insulin resistance, and inflammation, causing inflammation in your body. Because blue lights comes from the LED lights, and LED lights are cooler because they're blue light. They're not infrared light. Incandescent bulbs, in contrast, have infrared. So as I speak to you, you always see somewhat of a reddish hue over me because I have 4 red incandescent bulbs and 2 clear bulbs. I don't use LED lights in my home. I still get LED light bombardment because my refrigerator, my cappuccino maker, my hot water pot, my Ninja, my food processor, my microwave, my oven, all have LED lights. I get into my car, everyone's car, they're all LED lights. You get in a plane, LED lights. You get in a train, LED lights. You get in a boat, LED lights. You go to a supermarket, any place of work, they're all LED lights. Incandescent bulbs in California, I don't know about the other states. California, incandescent bulbs are illegal. You cannot buy them off the shelf. So I have to order mine through Amazon. Someone recently told me that you can get incandescent bulbs in the decorative lighting section, but when I checked, I only found LED. They're red, blue, whatever color, but they're LED lights, and that's not bueno, not good for your body biochemically. Now that you know, you know. All right. So I want to open this up for questions. Any questions that April, Carol, Paul, any of you guys might have? You guys have any questions? Just unmute yourselves. I'll ask you to unmute. If you have a question, just go ahead, unmute yourself and start asking questions, and I'll be more than happy to respond. No questions? Okay, if no one has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and go on to the cost. Go ahead, Carol.
No, I'm enjoying the talk. You always inspire me, so I'm doing well, doing much better.
Good, good, good. Do you want to share with our viewers and with April and Paul and our people in the audience, do you want to share what was going on with you? Because I know you were healthy all of your life until you had a monumental thing that happened. And then you suffered a couple things that really were life-threatening? You want to share that with them?
Sure, I'll do that. No, I've always been healthy. And till I call it a broken heart when my husband passed away a few years ago, and a healthy person, we're both healthy. And then I got down to 84 pounds. And what started happening is my heart started fibrillating. And I've never had that experience, and that was all new. And I ended up going to a cardiologist and doing all of that. And it was atrial fibrillation is what I had. And they wanted to put a defibrillator in me. So about that time, and of course I lost all the weight, and wasn't doing much of anything. So about that time, a friend introduced me to the patches. And then from there, I knew instantly that there was a solution here, because I'd had years and years ago, I'd had an experience with a patch, different kind of patch completely. And I don't even know where they are now, but, and it worked really well. So I immediately got on the patches, talked to Lillian. She's been my mentor for everything now, and got the patches on my heart. The fibrillation went away. Within 10 minutes, the fibrillation was gone, and it's been gone. So I keep them on my heart. And then I had shingles up here in my eye, all along here. And I'll tell you, that hurt. So, but the patches are on. I have patches on, and the shingles are gone. And it's just now healing the neuropathy that's there, and the pain is pretty much subsided. Sometimes it'll flare up a little bit, but I call it a healing crisis, because the body's got to heal itself. But it's been a blessing to have these patches. And then I take the ones that I've taken off, and I carefully keep them and put them on the bottom of my feet or something the next day, along with my new ones that I put on. So I'll tell you, I've been around the block on a lot of good stuff, and these are really, really beneficial. I understand about stem cells too, and how they need to wake up. So this is fabulous, and it's my own stem cells.
Yeah.
Mine, not somebody else's.
Yeah,
so
it's a game changer. And so was your doctor wanted to install a atrial defibrillator, so he understanding is he canceled that, so you no longer need that, right?
I had the choice. I went to him and had an echocardiogram and stuff, and things are changing in my heart. My heart has to heal, and it is healing because of the patches. I feel like they're working, and it heart's a muscle, and so I'm working with that, and I'm getting back to being as strong as I was, gained my weight, and he's given me the choice of whether to install a defibrillator or not. And it's a simple thing, but it does its magic. And so it's completely up to me. And I let the doctors talk to me and educate me and do all that stuff. And then I tell them what I'm going to do. So they don't tell me what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's important consent. So very good. On a scale from 0 to 10, what was your activity level before you started the patches?
I mean, I could run a chainsaw and cut trees. So how about that?
Now, so when you started on the patches, were you that active? Or
yeah, when after my husband passed, no, I was taking care of him, and he was healthy. He was healthy, and then he's not, and so no, we both no, he was a forester, and we did everything together.
You've always been very active, right?
Very, very active. Yeah.
So
I can now pick up the chainsaw, and I can still, now I'm getting back to where this summer I'm going to go out, test myself again, and fire up my chainsaw and see how I do.
Yeah. So you just had basically 18 months when you first started with the atrial fibrillation and then the shingles. For those 18 months, that then your activity, because your weight, you got weaker, all these different things. Your health was compromised. And then you got started on the patches. I'll never forget, you used to always wear your pulsometer every single day, every time you would join these Zooms. And now you don't need to anymore
I
because
don't have to, and I put it on, I check every once in a while, and I'm
just to
just
check.
dandy. I'm just dandy.
So, and it
So-
feels much different to go from having a normal heart rate to having a heart rate that's like 160, 170.
Oh yeah, and all over the
200,
place.
and
Yeah,
then having it vacillate. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is really fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that, Carol. I really appreciate that. April, Paul, if you don't have any other questions, I'm just going to wrap it up here with the cost and then we'll finish here to give you an idea. Okay, obviously we can't charge you $1 million, and traditional stem cell therapy, as you're aware, the screen's taking a very long time.
you won't be on tonight, is that correct?
Yeah, it won't be on tonight because it is Valentine's Day. I don't know, I just didn't want to see if I can get it to. Sometimes Zoom is so awesome. It's so instant. And other times it's a little slow. Okay. So about how much it costs. So as I said before, traditional stem cell therapy can run you $8,000 to $25,000 a session, and you have to leave the country because it's illegal here in the United States. The good thing about that is that it is available overseas. However, there's a 50% acceptance and rejection rate, especially when you use donor stem cells. There's a whole moral issue of where those stem cells are sourced from, but there's a 50-50 chance that it will work for you. Some of that is age contingent, but the other is just biochemistry. When you're taking a donor stem cell as opposed to your own, 50% of the time it's going to reject it. But with this technology, you are signaling your own stem cells, not from birth, but from when you were conceived in the mother's womb. You're turning those back on. And so this particular technology you can get for as little as $5 a day. You can get started down the path of restoring and regenerating your health and wellness for the price of basically a Starbucks coffee a day. Now, I want to share with you here my Dr. Wholesale form, because if you go to my website or you get back to the person who referred you to this video, referred you to this broadcast, and they'll answer any of all of your questions. On our website, you have the retail prices. So basically $5 a day is $149 a month for just the mother stem cell activation patch. For $11 a day, for the price of 2 Starbucks coffees a day, you can get all five of these a day. Now, the gold pack, which would have the 5, would be a sleeve. This is just simply the envelope that you use. This is a special envelope to hold 30 patches. Each one of these has 30 patches. Okay. So the gold pack has all 5, $39.49, glutathione, carnosine, and neon. Instead of paying $7.50, you can save $49 each. So you basically save 30% there. And you would get it for $100 a piece just the first month. Then it would drop to $329 a month. People who are wanting to, we always recommend that you be on the patches for at least the next 12 months. The reason being that your body is on a 7-year schedule. All 56 trillion cells in your body, they turn over a 7-year period. So the oldest cell in your body right now is 7 years old, but the youngest cell in your body is milliseconds old. And every 7 years, you basically get new bones, new tissue. So for example, your bones are on a 2-year cycle. So 2 years from now, every 2 years, your bones are all regenerated and you have brand new bone tissue inside and out. When you're on the patches, everything is expedited because you have this rapid cellular repair because of the stem cell activation. So we recommend that you be on the patches for at least 12 months. After that, you just stop when you no longer want to signal that cellular repair and regeneration, right? But when you no longer want to reverse age, you just simply stop. So if you're willing to buy 3 months in advance, it brings the price down by 50%. So let me show you where you can go to learn more. At startx39now.com, if you go there, there's a 2-minute video, a 3-minute video, and an 18-minute video explaining what the patches are, what they do, and basically the science and technology. Then we've got some testimonial reels, but it's exciting because all 90 clinical studies under the scientific studies button that you'll see there, you can click that. You can read all 90 clinical studies, share that link with your doctor as well. and all 120 global patents, because we are approved in 82 countries and we have 120 global patents approved in 82 countries. Most recent country that we just added a couple weeks ago was South Korea. All right. You can also ask me how to get started. We can busy people, because some people don't have time to do these Zoom calls. Not uncommon for me to have someone say, send me a text message or a voice message saying, hey, listen, I want to get started, but I don't have time to do a Zoom or even do a phone call. I've researched, I've watched enough of the informational videos, etc., to know that I want to get started. What do you need from me? Basically, what I need is to have these fields answered and filled out, where we're going to ship it to, and your payment information, so we can send you a to get started text, and then we'll switch this number. It's connected to my cell phone, and so give me at least 24 hours to get back to you with a text message requesting this information, and we can get you started. All right. Last opportunity to take a little screenshot of the bullet points of the mother stem cell activation patch. Tomorrow I will be here at 2 p.m. again. If you want it every day at 2 p.m., you have the opportunity to jump on, ask questions, ask about patch placement, ask about, for this particular, these symptoms, where would I put the patches, etc. You're more than welcome. I'm trying to always ask questions at the beginning of the broadcast, so that if you just want to ask a couple questions and then leave, you have that availability. And last but not least, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, tapping in today. Remember to get back to the person who referred you to this video to answer your questions and get yourself all squared away. And I am very passionate about teaching, sharing, educating you about this life-saving technology. And when you're ready, you're ready. And that could be now or a year from now, or it could be at any time. Most important thing is that you know what it is. And if there's something that can benefit you, Carol will tell you. If it can benefit you and it has nothing to do with the patches, believe you me, I will tell you, because I want to make sure that you have health and wellness as a priority and that you're empowered in that. And most of the things that I recommend, I don't make any money off of them. And so the number one thing is to get you well, happy, and healthy. All right. Okay, my friends and gems, that's it. As always,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day. I'm wearing red in honor of Valentine's Day. And
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.